are being taken. It's a collective action between the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ministry of Environment, and the oil company involved. It goes beyond the oil companies giving out palliatives. They must put measures in place to prevent such accidents from happening. They are also claiming that that spill was due to sabotage by the local communities. So we're going to have a targeted approach to illegal bunkering, tampering with oil installations, and artisanal refining in the Niger Delta to get alternative livelihood for the young people of the Niger Delta, so they will desist from this because it's further polluting the environment. The situation has been brought under control. I got a briefing from the DG of NOSDRA, who was out on the field. So now work has to start with the proper cleanup. On the issue of the companies not having competence, the Ministry of Environment doesn't issue the oil operating licenses. That is a question you have to take up with the Ministry of Petroleum. Ours is to safeguard and manage the environment. But it's a sad situation that we do not need in Nigeria, and we must put measures in place. And incidentally, right now we are trying to amend the NOSDRA Establishment Act to give them more powers to put punitive measures in place for the oil companies that are responsible for the oil spillage that is going on in Nigeria. We need to have a stronger legal framework in place to protect the environment from oil spills. Then on the issue of gas flaring that Reuters talked about, we are engaging with the Ministry of Petroleum on this, and you know they have come up with their gas master plan. So all this we need to integrate into our energy transition plan and our decarbonization plan to get to net zero, to see how we will harness all this. Instead of flaring, harness the gas. We're talking about alternative cooking for our rural women. Nigeria has the highest rate of death from smoke-induced illnesses. So if we can have the LPG cooking stove initiative accelerated, expanded, and upscaled, we will be able to get our gas initiative in place. And also you've heard of the NMPC talk about their CNG conversion. All this feed into the gas flaring issue that we do need to end. We cannot make commitments to net zero, commitment to sustainable environment, and we are still flaring gas. And also bear in mind that gas will be one of the transition fuels that we will be using, because Nigeria is more of a gas country than an oil country. So we must make use of our gas in a sustainable way. Thank you. So let's go to the third question. Wood cutting has increased. We monitor through our national parks and all that. So we must give them alternative clean cooking. This is a conversation I also intend to have with the Ministry of Petroleum, and I've just been told that the SSA Petroleum to the President is here. Yes. Artisanal refining, Bofaya, let me call it the local name. For those of you from the Niger Delta, you know what Bofaya is. I have had engagements with the River State government to tackle this issue. We've given different scenarios of how to get the young boys who are engaged in this to form themselves either into cooperatives, if we consider to give them licenses for modular refineries, so they do it in an environmentally friendly manner. The cause of Port Harcourt suit is the artisanal refining and the burning that is going on. The Ministry of Environment is already engaging with the artisanal refiners. Even the SSA to the President on Niger Delta, Senator Ita Enang, has had meetings with me, and NOSDRA, is the DG of NOSDRA here? Yes. The DG of NOSDRA is here. This is an issue that the federal government is looking into, but in collaboration with the state government. If we do not end the artisanal refining, we cannot stop the Port Harcourt soot. Those particles are from the way they are burning crude oil and other things they use for their illegal refining. Then on the issue of the update on the Ogoni cleanup, the cleanup cannot be achieved in a year or two. This is a long-term process. The acting project coordinator of HYPREP is here, so he can give you a brief update. 3 minutes, Prof. A brief update on where we are, and to also inform the gentlemen of the press, if you have your correspondence in the River State, I will be having a stakeholders engagement with the people of Ogoniland, those in the 4 local governments where we are having the cleanup. So I hear directly from them, know what their needs are, and see that we fully implement the emergency recommendations that UNEP have put forward. I had a meeting with UNEP as I fully came on board to get their own assessment of how far government has gone. And I'm glad to say that one of the major emergency projects that we're meant to do besides the cleanup was the provision of water. Their water is contaminated. So federal government, through HYPREP, has already commissioned 6 water projects, Prof, am I correct? Yes, they're already in place, and 12 more are going while the cleanup is going up. And the cleanup, we need to involve the community to be part of that cleanup. This is what we are doing to accelerate that. He will tell you the areas. I think 57 sites were awarded. How many have been certified by NOSDRA? Please give the media a brief update on that. What you've just described, I got a briefing from the DG of NOSDRA, and what I saw in terms of the pollution, either through oil refining, through illegal oil refining and otherwise, the devastation of the Niger Delta is massive. As we are cleaning up, what we are cleaning up is minute compared to the devastation going on now. So it's something that government has to tackle head on. I wish we had put the pictures. There was a picture I saw. It was like a Hiroshima site. You remember Hiroshima in Japan? It was terrible. So this is something we have to tackle head on. We're beyond talking and having workshops. Then on the issue of penalties, that's why I had mentioned earlier the review of NOSDRA's bill. If you know, most of our acts were passed years ago. So you find maybe they'll give 100,000 naira fine. Anyone can pay that and go back and repollute. So we need to put stiffer penalties in place, build the capacity of NOSDRA, which is a regulatory agency in the oil sector, to have the teeth to be able to bite without enhancing their capacity and reaffirming the legal framework, getting it stronger. They can't do much. These are areas we're looking into. It has to stop. And at the same time, if we do not engage with the communities to stop this, what is the alternative for the boys in the Delta, if we look at it? So government is working on creating alternative livelihoods for them so we can move them away from illegal refining and further polluting the environment. And for the Ogoni community, you'll be surprised that they have become like environmental custodians, because they have seen the cleanup going on in their villages, and they've seen the difference it makes. So most of the artisanal refining going on, it's not going on anymore in the affected Ogoni areas where the federal government is working. It's in other states like Bayelsa and other areas in River State. The alternative livelihoods could be, if you look at the components of the UNEP report, we have the mangrove restoration project. Remember, the Niger Delta area is full of mangroves. And through these mangroves, the people rely on it for their livelihood. That's where they do the shrimp farming, oyster farming, fishing, and all that. So there's a mangrove restoration program for the Niger Delta we are going to implement for these boys to be gainfully engaged in replanting those mangroves. Then also in the surveillance of the sites, of the Ogoni cleanup sites, these boys should be gainfully employed by the contractors, not just the project coordinating office, by the contractors who are doing the cleanup. Priority should be given to the local people in that area. There are also another component where we train them in agriculture. We're meant to have a soil management center and a center of excellence where we teach these boys about remediation and environmental protection and other skills that they can employ. This I'm sure we have not. If we had implemented this from the word go before the cleanup, things would have been better. It's never too late. Now we are working on getting that done. There's more engagement with the local communities. Yes. I think I've covered all the questions, or is there anything I left out? Erosion control. Oh, that is our Ministry of Environment has recorded. It's in the area of erosion control, together through the new map project that is funded by the Ministry of Environment. But of course, the funding is never enough. Is never enough for that. So besides investing in green infrastructure and tackling erosion, we're looking at the green side of it, how we can use shrubs, teach the communities how to use shrubs to stop erosion to an extent. But through the Ministry of Environment, new map project, and the Office of the SGF, the Ecological Fund Office, they have all collectively been tackling erosion projects, especially in the southeast, and of course my state, Anambra State, which is the home of erosion. That we have been, yes, that we have been tackling. It's an ongoing. The figures off my head, but on the index of what I have read, we have the highest rate of it. We have the highest rate of smoke-induced deaths. No, you can't say 50%. Say probably, let's say probably 3% of our people, and these are mainly women. These are mainly women. That's why the Clean Cook Stove Initiative and the LPG Cook Stove Initiative is key to reversing these deaths and also protecting our biodiversity. We have not carried out a full environmental impact assessment. This takes years to carry, but eventually this has to be done. So we understand the level, we know the level of degradation and know where to have our intervention. In the area of forestry, some of it has been done. The mapping of the areas under forestry have been done through the RED Plus program. But when it comes to environmental degradation assessment in the southern area, I'm sure you're thinking of the Niger Delta. Besides, from the spills, I know, that has not been concluded. Besides the UNEP one that we have gotten for this area. Nembe spill or the Santa Barbara spill in Nembe, the same one. That's what I said, the ministry. I don't get you. OML 49. What? No. Our workers, NOSDRA staff, are on ground right now as we speak. Is DJ NOSDRA here? Because I had wanted to visit and they said our staff are already on ground taking records in place. Yeah, go ahead. Of explaining to us post-spill assessment and environmental assessment. Before I even say thank you for this, I think we should have more sessions like this so everyone understands the issues of environment and the various areas, so that when we ask questions, we'll be able to understand what we are talking about. I just wanted to go back to the Ogoni cleanup. So now someone had asked about the alternative livelihoods. And I forgot to mention that High Prep, has been training the Ogoni women and the young people. For now, we have already trained about 400 women in agribusiness and entrepreneurial skills. Then also, we've got them to form themselves into 20 cooperatives. And High Prep has duly registered these cooperatives. And through the cooperatives, they will be gainfully be employed at the project sites and other areas of entrepreneurial skill that we can help them with. So for now, we have, under this project, we have created about 735 direct jobs for now. And as the project coordinator said, when we go into the cleanup of the complex sites, the sites that we have cleaned up now are the simple sites. When we go to the cleanup of the complex sites, we'll be able to employ a lot more of the Ogoni youth in the area of our work. No, I've already mentioned that I'm in Ogoni next week. So I hope from that engagement I'll get to know what their issues are, and I'll also like to engage with the NGOs, because they come up with negative, sometimes they come up with their own view. I wouldn't call it negative, they come up with their own view of the cleanup. I want the cleanup to be as transparent as possible, and for it at the end of the day to benefit the people of Ogoni. And as I said earlier, I invite the press to join me on my tours and engagements in all the projects that the ministry is doing. After the Ogoni visitation and stakeholder engagement, I'll be doing the same for the Great Green Wall projects in the 11 frontline states in the north, for us to assess and see how these various interventions have impacted the lives of our people. Thank you.
Thank you.